Keynote Address. We're very lucky to have Jason Reifler join us and speak. He does some amazing research, and I'm sure he's going to be sharing some of that research with us today. So I'm not going to take too much time to talk now. I just want to say what we'll do is the way the session is going to work is he's going to give his keynote address, probably 25, 30 minutes or so, and then we're going to open up from questions from the audience, have a nice discussion about political psychology, leadership, and other things that Jason's been working on. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Jason, let him speak, and I'm going to mute myself, and then we'll have a wonderful talk here.
Thanks y'all so much for having me, and thanks for inviting me to give the talk. I'm really excited to do it. The theme of the keynote that I was asked is, how can political psychology support effective political leadership? I'm not sure I'm actually going to answer that question directly, but I have sort of tried to bring several studies that I've done to bear on, I think, ways to think about the question. And given a platform, I want to first talk about a couple of other things. This is the beauty of having a keynote versus a regular conference slot, is that you can co-opt it and talk about other things. So I just have some, under the possibility that there are some graduate students or early career researchers out there. I just want to give some of my most basic advice that is out there, or that I know to give. And the first is to try and develop a strong community. This is especially crucial, I think, for grad students, and particularly crucial and difficult in the UK context, where a lot of grad programs don't have a lot of coursework, where you're going straight into your individual research. And so finding a way to try and develop a strong community, which is, of course, even more difficult in the midst of a deadly global pandemic, because you can't physically try to be together in the same space. And I don't necessarily have great ideas of how to do it, other than to try and do it. And I think every sort of community may do it a different way. And I think there are probably lots of right ways to do it. The core is, I think, genuinely being supportive of your fellow researchers. And the most valuable skill I have learned in my career is learning how to take pleasure in the success of others. Other people succeeding, other people getting a grant, other people getting a publication, other people getting interviewed by the media. All of those things are never negative reflections on you. We can all enjoy other people. This is a hard enough discipline. This is a hard enough career that we don't need to be aggravated when other people succeed. So the next piece of advice I think is especially crucial for grad students is, don't confuse a topic with a question. It's easy to think of topics we might want to study. If we want to make those topics tractable to being able to produce research, we really need to have some sort of underlying question that we're trying to ask. I think one of the most fundamental things I try and do as an academic is just basically be decent, just be nice to other people, be supportive. Again, take pleasure in the successes of others. It makes life far more enjoyable. I remember second year grad student me, when I knew just enough to think that everything out there was terrible. And I very clearly remember John Transu. This is one of the most formative moments of my life as a graduate student that stays with me to this day. Is John Transu pulled me aside and said, Jason, you're very good at finding the flaws and stuff, and you're usually really compelling when you do it, and you do a really good job of it, but you need to take the next step and not just identify why something is flawed, but you need to learn to understand what its contribution is in spite of its flaws. All research is flawed. All of your research is flawed. All of my research is flawed. I can tell you in many ways how it's flawed. Another point is that it's okay to not know something. The longer I do this, the more certain I am that I don't know very much. And the more that the main thing I learn is how little I've learned. Also, it's okay to be wrong. Not everything we do is gonna stand the test of time. We can be wrong about things, whether that is a piece of research. It's okay to be wrong. ABC here stands for always be closing. So get stuff out. Don't just sit on it hoping that if you wait another 3 months that you'll be able to completely reframe that 18th paragraph in a way that allows you to get that little, that one sentence you don't like, and you're going to be able to fix that. Just get it out, get it to reviewers. And the important thing is, once you get things to reviewers, it's important to know that rejection is normal. So a couple of years ago, I started on Twitter keeping track of and posting all of my rejections. So here are my rejections for 2020. And I just add them to a long Twitter thread, and it's really simple every time. I'm trying to be more open about my professional disappointments. Here's my latest failure or rejection, and it's a date, where it was rejected, where something was under review, and what the disposition was, whether it's as a manuscript rejection or a grant proposal rejection. So those are my rejections for 2020, or actually the first half of 2020, and then those are my rejections for the second half of 2020. So I get rejected a lot, but that means I'm getting stuff out there, and some stuff never gets published. Some grants, there's not a second place to send it to, and it doesn't get revived, but eventually a lot of stuff works. I've had grant proposals that were rejected, and then 2 or 3 years later, something sort of close enough comes that you can take some of the same basic idea and change it over, or maybe you've done work to build a team for a multi-site grant, and the team is still there. So a lot of the stuff pays off in the over the longer term. All right, so